Good evening, and first at 11, trying to stop stolen guns from falling into the hands of criminals. Tonight, federal investigators are offering a big cash reward to track down a big haul of firearms stolen from a Beaverton pawn shop. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Police say most of the guns used in crimes in our area are stolen or obtained illegally. And a recent KGW investigation found more than half of them were semi-automatic pistols.
And that is exactly what the thieves were after in this latest high-stakes break-in. Here's Catherine Cook.
On TV Highway, near Southwest 185th in Beaverton, sits a cut above pawn shop. On October 5th, before the store opened, investigators say someone broke in and stole not one, not two, but 20 semi-automatic pistols, what most people call handguns.
You can fire a lot of rounds very quickly. There are also extended magazines that can make this even more dangerous.
Jason Chuddy is with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The ATF wants these guns recovered and those who stole them arrested. So much so, they're offering up to a $5,000 reward, matched by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. That makes it $10,000 for the arrest and conviction of those responsible.
Those firearms are generally going to remain in that area. So, this event happened in Beaverton, so most likely they're going to stay in the Beaverton area or they're going to migrate over to Portland. They're a danger to the community.
Any theft of a gun is big in our eyes.
Sergeant Danny DePietro is with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. They're leading the investigation. DePietro says for a case of this size, it seems like an isolated incident. He appreciates the ATF's partnership.
The reward is just going to, I feel, further the investigation, and hopefully we'll get some tips because like I said, we want to find these guns. We want to get them off the street. We want to make sure that they don't fall in the wrong hands.
These are 20 firearms that could be used to kill somebody or hurt somebody or used to rob a store or, carjacking. If you know something or you think you know something, let us know. We can either use that tip or rule it out.
And if you have information on this case, the number to call is 1-888-ATF-TIPS. That's 1-888-283-8477. You can remain anonymous, but to be eligible for that $10,000 reward, you will need to share your name and info. Laurel.
Well, let's hope somebody can help. Thank you, Catherine. It was a call to action in Southeast Portland today as people protested for safer roads. This comes a week after a driver hit and killed a Portland chef, an avid cyclist, in the busy intersection at Powell and 26th. She was 50-year-old Sarah Pliner. Though officials haven't released their findings on exactly how the crash happened, Southeast Powell is one of Portland's high crash corridors, one of 30 streets where the highest number of crashes happen.
I think we need support from not just cyclists, not just walkers. We need support from drivers as well. We need people to agree that life shouldn't be wasted on our streets and that choosing to ride a bike shouldn't be a death sentence.
Powell Boulevard is actually a state-owned highway controlled by ODOT, not the city. So any changes would take a lot of time and money or an eventual transfer of the road to the city. ODOT declined our request for comment this week, but did acknowledge in a statement that changes should be made to make the road safer.
New tonight in Washington County, a woman is under arrest for allegedly stealing political campaign signs, and the county Republican Party says she was targeting conservative candidates. Now, many of those signs belong to Kim Rice, a GOP candidate for state Senate. Rice says the suspect posted a picture with her haul on social media bragging about the theft. Now, the sheriff's office identified the suspect as Kylie Delgado and say she turned herself in. Rice had this message.
I asked the deputy if not only she could give me the signs back, but if she could come out and help me put the signs back up, because it took me hours and hours finding sign locations that were appropriate, that were in compliance with county codes.
So we'll see what happens. Rice is running against Democrat Winsve Campos for Oregon's 18th Senate District. Campos currently serves in the State House. And speaking of the election, with less than 4 weeks to go now, our team at The Story is ramping up its fact-checking efforts. So for the next 3 nights here, they're going to be looking at some of the most inflammatory political ads in the race for Oregon governor. It is high stakes. The president is on the way to shore up his support for Democrat Tina Kotek. So tonight we're going to begin with an ad from her campaign going after her top rival. Here's Pat Doris.
Tonight we're fact-checking an attack ad against Christine Drazen. It's paid for by the Kotek campaign and tries to paint Drazen as an extreme right-wing candidate. After studying it, in my opinion, it's misleading. It pulls together whatever it can find to make the point, but it's a real stretch and not a convincing case. Let's take this thing apart. Here's the first line.
The most anti-abortion group in Oregon wants Christine Drazen to be our next governor.
The ad lists their source as Willamette Week from March 11, 2022. It reports that Oregon Right to Life endorsed Drazen and 3 other Republicans. And down a bit lower, her campaign manager is quoted as saying, Christine received Oregon Right to Life's endorsement in her previous 2 runs for office and is honored to have their support once again in the race for governor. Okay, so that we can say then, yes, Oregon Right to Life did endorse Drazen. You can decide if they are the most anti-abortion group in Oregon, as the ad claims. Drazen told OPB in July that she would veto legislation, by the way, that included taxpayer funding for abortions and also for abortion on demand up until the moment of birth. She was saying if she had been governor when those came through, she would have vetoed those 2 things. She also said she would support common sense regulations, including protecting the life in the 3rd trimester. Current Oregon law has no restrictions on the timing of an abortion now. Drazen also said that Roe v. Wade is codified in Oregon law, even though it's overturned nationally, and regardless of her personal opinions, she would follow the law. Let's watch the next line.
She's been endorsed by the NRA for years.
This line is sourced to the NRA Political Victory Fund. I went to their website, and sure enough, Drazen gets an A from the group. Kotek, by the way, got an F. But the ad writers got the endorsement part wrong. The group does endorse some candidates, but they have not endorsed Drazen. So technically, that line is false. The NRA did not endorse Drazen, but the thrust of the statement is true and accurate. She votes in a way that the NRA likes. We break down the rest of the ad, including claims that Drazen is supported by election-denying extremists and January 6th rioters. You can watch that on The Story on our KGW YouTube page.
All right, can't wait for Pat to take on the other ads here. All right, speaking of the race for governor, 1 week from tonight, KGW and the Oregonian will co-host the final debate between the top 3 candidates. That is Wednesday the 19th at 7 in the evening, live on KGW News and, of course, streaming on the app and at kgw.com.
Developing tonight, another victim of theft is worried her case will never be solved. Someone broke into her storage unit, stealing thousands of dollars in belongings and some irreplaceable items. Carol Brocky said sometime between Sunday and Monday, her unit in this extra space storage in Tigard was ransacked. It contained everything from her son's sports memorabilia to jewelry that had belonged to her late mother. She filed a police report, even gave officers video surveillance showing what she believes is the suspect's license plate number. But she says officers told her this happens at storage buildings all the time, and there's not much they can do about it.
I can't get a call back, so I'm frustrated. And the more time that goes by, the more likely it is that those memorabilia items that are irreplaceable will be pawned off or sold.
In total, Brocky said nearly $20,000 worth of stuff was taken. She did have insurance, but like you heard, worries those irreplaceable items are long gone.